Behind the mysterious veils of the universe lies a realm that transcends human understanding. This is the story of a traveler who touched the thin line between life and death, a place where time stands still and the soul begins its flight toward its true home. On a quiet night, as the city lights grew dim, a man lay counting his final breaths. In the cold silence of the hospital room, the rhythmic beeping of the monitors suddenly flattened into a single, haunting tone to the world he was gone. But for the traveler, a new reality was just beginning. He found himself hovering near the ceiling, looking down at his own silent form. He could hear the muffled sobs of his loved ones, yet he felt no sorrow. Instead, he was washed over by a profound sense of peace, a weightlessness, as if a heavy burden he had carried for decades had finally been lifted. Suddenly, the walls of the room began to dissolve, replaced by a vast, shimmering tunnel of light. At the end of this passage glowed a radiance more brilliant than 1,000 suns. Yet it did not blind him. It was a pulling force, as magnetic and comforting as a mother calling a long-lost child home. As he moved toward the glow, his entire life began to flicker before him, not as mere memories, but as a life review. He felt every emotion he had ever caused in others. He felt the warmth of the small kindnesses he had forgotten, and the sting of the harsh words he had once spoken. In that moment, he realized that the universe's true currency was never wealth or fame. It was the love and compassion shared in the quietest of moments. As he neared the heart of the light, familiar silhouettes began to emerge. They were the faces of loved ones who had crossed over years ago, now standing vibrant, youthful, and free from the decay of age or illness. Their presence radiated a welcome that felt like reaching a sanctuary after a long, exhausting storm. There was no speech, only a soul-to-soul recognition that he was home. But just as he prepared to step across the final boundary, a deep, resonant voice echoed through his being. It carried an authority that was both firm and gentle, declaring that his journey was not yet complete. There was a purpose on earth that still required his presence. The traveler did not want to leave that infinite serenity, but the decree of destiny was absolute. With a sudden, violent jolt, the celestial light vanished and darkness rushed back in. When he finally opened his eyes, he was back in the heavy, aching shell of his physical body. The doctors called it a medical miracle, but he knew better. He had seen behind the curtain. He had learned that death is not a wall, but a doorway, a transition into a vast and beautiful existence. He returned with the knowledge that this life is but a brief shadow, and the true dawn awaits on the other side of the silent threshold.